International Hot Rod Association Championship Drag Racing and ESPN presents the 12th Annual Summer Nationals from Atco Raceway, Atco, New Jersey. Hi, everybody. John Lundberg here at Atco Raceway, Atco, New Jersey, for the 12th annual running of the IHRA Summer Nationals. Behind me is the Great Wall of Atco. Mandated by local noise legislation, the wall deadens sound to people who live in the region. It, however, expands sound to the spectators, and they've had a dynamite weekend here listening to all the incredible action that's gone on. Gene Snow of Fort Worth, Texas, current world champion, #1 in top fuel at 5:14. And the Ace McCullough in the Miller Highlight Oldsmobile, #1 in funny cars at 5:44. And just a 100th of a second off. He is IHRA world record time. Bob Glidden leads qualifying here at 7:31. Now stepping in to pick up his coverage of this 1988 IHRA Championship drag race on ESPN Speed World, Brett Kepner.
Well, John, this event has not only produced track record elapsed times in every professional category, but we've seen new speed marks in every single class as well. In Top Fuel Eliminator, Joe Amato, who 1 year ago at this event became the first IHRA Top Fuel dragster driver over 270 miles per hour, reset his own track speed record by over 5 miles per hour with his Keystone Automotive Warehouse Top Fuel dragster at 277 miles per hour. In Funny Car Eliminator, Ed the Ace McCullough scored a new 269 mile per hour track speed record. Again, 6 miles an hour over the old standard. In Pro Stock Eliminator, both Bob Glidden and Ricky Smith have put their Ford Motorcraft Thunderbirds over the 190 mile per hour mark. And believe me, during eliminations, things are going to be even quicker yet. In fact, right now, the third member of our broadcasting staff, Pat Patterson, is in the pits with the defending IHRA world champion and #1 qualifier in Top Fuel here at Atco, Gene Snow.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. The man they'll be chasing today here at Atco, New Jersey in the Top Fuel division for this Summer Nationals is Fort Worth, Texas's Gene Snow. 5:14 yesterday, 269 miles an hour in a transmissionless car. And, Gene, I know that you're looking for good things here at Atco today. What do you think about this one?
Well, this is the best we've ever seen the track, the best we've ever seen the weather, and the car's performing excellent. I'm real excited. I think we have a good chance of winning.
How about the wind here? Awfully windy this morning as we get ready.
Well, so far we've been lucky. It was pretty windy yesterday, and we got through there okay. I'm not worried about it.
How about the track itself? Knew earlier everybody was having a little bit of problems getting hooked up. How about yesterday, and what do you look for today?
Well, it's the best I've ever seen it. The right lane's a little bit better, and we get the lane choice, so we'll probably take it. I'm real excited about running good.
Well, good luck to you today. Gene Snow will be the #1 qualifier in this one today. He's the man everybody will chase. We've got all the action coming up next here on ESPN.
IHRA Championship Drag Racing is brought to you by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age. For all you do, this Bud's for you. The fans, the cars, the drivers, everybody is ready. And coming up on ESPN, Top Fuel drag racing action. John Lundberg at Atco Raceway, the 2nd annual IHRA Summer Nationals with Brett Kepner and Pat Patterson. And you look at the Top Fuel quarterfinals, beginning with the psychedelic nose of the King & Marshall Top Fuel dragster, Rocky Epperly up, and Paul Smith in the near lane, Brett.
Paul Smith and the Black Machine, both cars have run career bests in qualifying for this race. Now they leave the starting line, and Smith comes off the line second. Epperly begins to drive away and takes the first win of this event. 5.45 seconds, a 1/10 of a second off his qualifying career best. 236 miles per hour for the win, John. Obviously, conditions are nearly perfect for drag racing here this afternoon. If Epperly can run a 5:45, John, we're going to see some numbers at this event.
And John Carey, the guy you're looking at now, would like those conditions to work for him. He's #6 at 5:49. Amato, 1900ths of a second quicker at 5:30. And here's Pat with Joe in the pits.
As far as where you're at this point in the program and what you look for, I know that the win at Bristol was a big boost, and I know you'd like to make it 2 in a row here. What have you got to do that, Joe?
Well, I guess beat Gene Snow. He's the toughest car here, and he's running the #1 in the points right now. But, you know, Dennis Purcell's running good. There's a lot of other good cars. But this is our hometown track, and we got a lot of people from our area that come to the race here, so we'd really like to do good in front of your hometown people.
The mark is Snow's #1 qualifying elapsed time of 5:14. 2 guys in pursuit of it, and around in the 2nd appearance of this race in just a few minutes. Ready to go now. Carey and Amato are staged. Carey drops a blower belt. He's out of it. Amato off on a beautiful pass down the quarter mile. Joe Amato improves his quarter mile qualifying elapsed time by 0.02 of a second with a 5:28 elapsed time. A top speed for the quarter mile of 275.22, and John Carey coasting down the track behind him. His blower belt off the engine, and there you see Bobby Cross, track security official, with the blower belt not where it's supposed to be, in his hand instead of on the engine, as now Gene Snow prepares to compete in the first round of Top Fuel, Brett.
The man that Joe Amato said he has to beat is experimenting with a no-gear transmission here. High speed only this weekend for the defending world champion. Ironically, he's racing Bill Mullins, who just gave up the idea of the high-gear only transmission only a few weeks ago. They move into stage, and Mullins has got his work cut out for him. On the green light, Snow's car rockets off the starting line. Mullins' car drops a few cylinders off the line, and it's not even a contest, John.
Snow through the quarter mile at 5:23. His top speed 269.46. Mullins runner-up 5:90 at 191 miles per hour.
The car leaves the line so strong, but here's a guy who is equally as strong this year. In his rookie year of Top Fuel racing, Dennis Forcell against this man, another rookie from Michigan, David Bieneman.
Bieneman, the number 7 qualifier at 5:76. Forcell, number 2 in the program, 0.46 of a second quicker at 5:30. Here's Pat with Dennis Forcell.
Sponsorship is everything, and you've got a pretty good one. They've got to be pretty pleased with the way everything seems to have come together, Dennis.
Well, I think in Cable Value Network, we've got a unique sponsor, one that brings a lot to the sport, and at the same time is gaining a lot of exposure from participating in the sport. And I just think that the combination is working very well for both of us.
Dave Bieneman in the near lane, moving into the starting line beams right now, is in his 3rd drag race ever. He gained his competition license last August. He's already run in the 5.6 second zone, but it's going to take a heck of a hole shot to overpower Dennis Forcell in this first round meeting. They're staged, the green light. Forcell gets the initial move, and it is over at half track. The Cable Value Network car thunders through the top end lights to take a 5.31 second win. The speed at the finish line, 265 miles per hour. A 6:06 for Bieneman indicated problems, John.
As the first round ends, Gene Snow, low qualifier with 5:23 low ET first round. Funny car and pro stock drag racing quarterfinals from Atco after these messages. We're back at the IHRA Summer Nationals Atco Raceway, Atco, New Jersey. John Lundberg, Brett Kepner, and Pat Patterson. And Brett, coming up now, Funny Car quarterfinals with John Force in the Castro GTX Oldsmobile.
John, one of the most heavily sponsored machines in drag racing. John Force's Olds Cutlass Supreme, as you said, Castro GTX, Jolly Rancher Candies, Polaroid, Oldsmobile, Don Steve Chevy. Here's the Ray Bestos Clutches Oldsmobile Forenza of Nick Bonanfani, driven by R.C. Sherman. And John, last time on our IHRA Championship drag racing coverage on ESPN, we saw this car literally burn to the ground.
Sherman's number 2 body has been patched so often they call it Frankenstein. Earlier, John Force had a chance to comment on New Jersey's tech laws.
It's a strange place. You not only get teched by IHRA here, you get teched by the New Jersey State Police. That's kind of a strange deal. You ever run into that anywhere else?
Yeah, they teched me coming out of the hotel bar last night a little bit just to check my nitro level, and I was okay though. But no, any time that I think, whether a city or a state or NHRA and their people, IHRA, whoever it is, the money that they spend on their tech people and the safety. I mean, that's what it's all about. If IHRA, just like the local police force, didn't keep a lid on everything, it could all get out of hand. So as much as for the safety of the spectator, I respect, what IHRA does, and Billy Myers with his new series that he has, the way they push the rules. And anytime the police will come in and keep an eye on us, you got a safe race, and you don't have a spectator getting run over, some young kid, by somebody on a motorcycle flying through the pits in a hurry. I'm very glad to see that.
Force ran 5.46 seconds in qualifying. Sherman is going to have to come up with a major upset here to get to the semifinal round over the Castro GTX Olds. They move into stage, waiting patiently for the countdown. Now Force is in. The tree goes to green. They leave the line, and Force is on a run. Sherman smokes the tires, but Force breaks something, and R.C. Sherman gets the biggest upset win of the event. A slight fire underneath John Force's car, nothing serious, but R.C. Sherman at 5.85 seconds, John, has just pulled off the upset of the event.
Here's Pat with a dejected John Force.
I know you don't like to speculate, but if you had to, what do you think might have happened?
I don't really know. There was, I think the motor let go, let a rod go pop. clutch locked up, then it could have been a combination of things. Crank might have broke. Who knows? You know, it's just one of them things.
We're sorry to see you out of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be out.
As we listen to a noisy spool under the body of ventilated block, John Force returns to the pits, and we get back to more funny car drag racing at the Summer Nationals.
Here's veteran independent nitro racer Jerry Caminito in the Blue Thunder Dodge Daytona near lane against the hottest funny car driver of the year at the Ace McCulloch. Now, McCulloch qualified number 1 at 5.44 seconds on his own 5:52 track record. He's hot. And Caminito leaves the starting line literally when the Christmas tree was activated. A blatant red light foul start. Ed McCulloch takes the win. 5.53 seconds, 264 miles an hour. Caminito gambled on a whole shot. His 586 would have never done the job anyway. And McCulloch, John, just looks unbeatable again.
Here's a guy on a roll. Bruce Larson in the Century Tax engages Oldsmobile Forenza. He's racing Gary Dencham, an automotive shop teacher from Southern California. There's Larson staging and ready to move. He's out of the gate. Dencham a little bit sideways, heads to the side stripe. Larson down the quarter mile, wins. And at the quarter mile, Bruce Larson's winning elapsed time 5:59 at 263.92 miles per hour.
Gary Dencham is in his first ever East Coast tour. It was the first time he's raced at Atco, but didn't last very long. Here's Chuck Etchel's incredibly good-looking Future Force Pontiac Trans Am. He'll be racing this gorgeous car, the Black Magic Thunderbird of D.A. Santucci. Now, this could be a match race at any Eastern Seaboard drag strip. These two independent nitro racers battle each other normally for a booked-in fee at small tracks up and down the East Coast. But here in open national event competition, it's every man for himself. There's no guaranteed reward in this battle. Santucci, a 30-year veteran of drag racing. Etchel's is only in his 3rd year of campaigning a nitro funny car, so there's definitely a lopsided battle in experience on the starting line. Etchel's moves in to stage the Pontiac. The Ford from Pennsylvania leaves the line first, however. Battling side by side, Etchel's breaks the tires loose in a great race. D.A. Santucci takes the win. A parachute collapses as well, but at 5.73 seconds, he's a winner. What a drag race.
We're at Pro Stock quarterfinal time. Number 1 qualifier at 7:31, Bob Glidden in his Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird is in a row of the top 4 qualifiers for this event. A total of $1,850 presented on a graduated basis to those guys as they gain points for the Hearst Pro Stock Shootout. Now here's the current point standings. Ricky Smith on the top, followed by Glidden and Neighbors tied for 2nd. Warren Johnson in 5th is Jerry Ekman. The second 5 currently, Terry Adams, Joe Lapone, Jerry Haas, and Jim Roof tied for 8th. And in 10th, Bruce Allen. Remember, the Texas Motorplex, October 1st, $20,000 to the winner of the 8 qualifiers in the Hearst Pro Stock Shootout. Now it's time to drag race, and we begin the Pro Stock round with Bob Glidden ready to sprint down the quarter mile with Kenny Delco. Glidden, number 1 qualifier at 7:31. Delco in the program at 10 slower at 7:41. The number 8 qualifier there away. The Ford's in the lead at half track. The Pontiac's trying to catch him. Ford wins at the quarter mile. The elapsed time for the Victor Glidden, 7:37, 187.89. Delco runner up at 7:47. As the cars coast off the end of the quarter mile, Glidden keeps that 7:30 pattern going. And here's the next round, Brett.
While Glidden is running consistent 7:30s, here's a guy who was also in the 7:30, 7.33 seconds, number 2 qualifier, with again 4 runs over 190 miles an hour. Ricky Smith, the defending IHRA world champion, will take on Frank Sanchez, the New Yorker, with the beautiful Pontiac Trans Am at the near lane. They move into stage and a red light for Frank Sanchez, leaving the starting line 0.07 of a second too soon. Ricky Smith automatically goes to the semifinal round, a 7.41 second elapsed time. But look at the speed, 190 miles per hour again. However, Smith is at a disadvantage. He's slowed down a lot in that particular battle. It gives Glidden a slight advantage. Frank Iaconio now moves it up. You want to talk about one of the most popular racers in the state of New Jersey, the Super Shops Trans Am driver, has been at this game since the inception of the class. In fact, he was driving Stockers 25 years ago on the East Coast. In fact, this is one of his hometown tracks. He'll be up against a Pennsylvania racer, Kenny Koretsky, who had a pretty harrowing experience in the first round of eliminations here at Pro Stock. No parachute. He's on the brakes hard enough that the huge rear tires on the back of the car cause it to bounce. The parachute finally comes out of the pack, but by that time, Kenny's almost unconscious. Blocking up the rear tires, he slides into the sand trap at the end of the track. No serious body damage. He's up against Iaconia. Miraculously, Koretsky is back in this program. They leave the starting line, a slight hole shot for Frank Iaconio, and a very slight lead at half track. Koretsky trying to drive around him and just falls short. Frank Iaconio by 0.04 of a second takes the win, 7:46, John.
A good shot by Koretsky falls short as we go to the next drag race. This will be George Cable against Charlie Garrett. After first round wins, these guys come to the starting line 0.003 of a second apart, Brett.
Well, George Cable, in only 3 months of driving Emo Eckroth's Pontiac Trans Am in the far lane, has been astounding here. He beat Tim Neighbors in the first round, a driver who finished in the top 5 in World Championship points last year. He's a newcomer, but he's already making a name for himself. Now, Charlie Garrett is a longtime Sportsman racer who moved up to Pro Stock a couple of years ago. Both these guys are killers on the Christmas tree. They can leave the line with the best of them. They do leave the line, and Cable gets a hole shot, a very slight hole shot on Garrett. Door to door at half track. This one's a battle. George Cable pulls off another upset. Look at this, 1/100th of a second between them, 7:53 to 7:54.
Pro Stock drag racing, IHRA style, comes to a close as top fuel action will be up at the IHRA Summer Nationals following these messages. NHRA Championship drag racing at the Summer Nationals at Atco, New Jersey. We're back. John Lundberg, Brett Kepner, and Pat Patterson as we watch Joe Amato's tires smoking burnout as we begin the semifinal round of Top Fuel Eliminator, Brett.
Well, Joe Amato has already pointed out that he's here to beat Gene Snow, but in order to get to that final round, he's got to get around the guy in the near lane. Minneapolis, Minnesota racer Dennis Forcell, in his rookie year of Top Fuel drag racing, has been one of the standouts of this season. Now, Amato's Hearst Shifters TRW parts and Keystone Automotive Warehouse Top Fuel car and Forcell's machine qualified at identical 5.30 second elapsed times. You can't ask for a more evenly matched top fuel battle, although we will point out that Forcell ran 0.03 of a second slower than Amato in the first round of eliminations, 5:31 to 5:28. Larry Frazier, the crew chief from Denver, Colorado, of Forcell's Cable Value Network machine, and Jerry Amato, the wife of Joe Amato, keep one last look as the machines move forward into the staging beams. This is going to be a battle, John.
Well, Amato backs out. He wants to restage, make sure his car is properly set to go. He realizes any mistake at all, Forcell will step up and hurt you. So Amato is ready.
That's very true. Forcell's key has been consistency, not only here, but at every event, John.
Amato trying to see how close to Snow he can get. Forcell needs to go into the next round. Forcell tries, but red lights, and Joe Amato will cycle into the next round. And Amato's winning elapsed time, 5:26 at 276.92. Forcell, beautiful race. Left the line too quick. He's out of it. Here's Pat with Joe Amato.
I saw Dennis red light. He jump started a little bit, but the car kept drifting out of the groove a little bit to the right. There's a bad crosswind out there, but the car ran pretty good. We'll have to see what Snow runs now, what we're going to have to do for the final.
If you got your pick of the two to go after, Epperly or Snow, which one would you rather have?
Well, Snow's a tough guy there, so you're always looking for the easy ride, but it won't happen.
Well, this will be interesting. As Amato just said, he wants to see what Snow will do in this round. Amato just picked up to his best of the event, 5.26 seconds. Snow's best in eliminations has been 5.23, but remember, Gene Snow qualified #1 at 5:14. There appears to be some smoke out of Rocky Epperly's motor, and Gene Snow is the only one to leave the starting line. Snow on a single run goes through 5:15. 263 points. Look at the car bouncing all over the place. Obviously, the crosswind is pretty strong, John.
You could see the chute displace the rear end of the car as it fully blossomed, and back at the starting line, boy, I'll tell you, Rocky Epperly is not a happy camper. The engine is off. He's crawling out of the car. Don Marshall beside it, and frustration for that team. Anticipation for Ed the Ace McCullough. We'll be back with Funny Car and Pro Stock semifinals after these words from our sponsors. Back at the IHRA Summer Nationals at Atco Raceway, Atco, New Jersey. John Lundberg, Brett Kepner, Pat Patterson. Semi-final round Funny Car Eliminator as we look at D.A. Santucci's Black Magic 86 Thunderbird and his competitor, Lowly T. In the last round of competition, Ed McCullough and the Miller Highlight 88 Cutlass Oldsmobile, Brett.
McCullough looking strong, but Santucci's machine is always tough. Look at this burnout. If nothing else, Santucci is always a crowd pleaser, trying to put down as much hot rubber as possible and literally fogging in the starting line. Now, McCullough slowed down 1/10 of a second from his qualifying 5:44 in the first round of eliminations. But knowing McCullough and crew chief Bernie Federley, they probably put a combination in this car that they believe will still be enough to beat the field without beating up their own equipment. 550s, apparently they believe, will be enough to dispose of D.A. Santucci. Santucci's career best is only in the 560s, but the cagey match racer here in the near lane knows this track. This is only the second time McCulloch has ever been to this place. Therefore, Santucci has an experience advantage here just on the fact that he's raced here for 2 decades.
Now we get to really find out in the center part of the season, Brett, whether the Federley-McCulloch combination is truly as bulletproof as everybody seems to think it is, because they're racing the veteran, D.A. Santucci. We're ready to go. The Thunderbird moves into stage. McCulloch ready to go as well. Taking his time, he moves in, ready for the green light. Here it comes. They're out of the gate. McCulloch leads. McCulloch smokes the tires just a little bit, and McCulloch wins at the quarter mile. Ed the Ace McCulloch, 5:73 at 2:60. Santucci, runner-up, 5:88 and 2:54.
Tell you, McCulloch may have stumbled at the recent Spring Nationals, but he's tough to beat this time around. Now, I'll tell you, here's another guy who ran a career best in qualifying at 5.52 seconds. A guy who's been racing again at this racetrack since the mid-1960s. Bruce Larson from Dauphin, Pennsylvania. Little town on the banks of the Susquehanna River in the Appalachian Mountains, moves up against R.C. Sherman and the Ray Bestos clutches Olds. Both pre-staged, 6 inches from the starting line proper. As soon as the second yellows go on, they're ready. They leave the starting line side by side, but here comes Bruce Larson. The man cannot be beat this weekend. Train lengthening R.C. Sherman, 5.74 seconds, and by 100th of a second, he misses lane choice in the final round. But John, more importantly, it's the second national event final in 2 weeks for Bruce Larson after he had never been in a final round for 25 years.
We're about to show our fans a bizarre form of drag racing entertainment. This called the wind-up pickup truck. Brett, tell us about it.
This is Danny O'Day driving what is known in drag racing as a wheel stander, a rear-engine supercharged Ford-powered Ranger pickup taking a quarter-mile run on the rear wheels all the way down, controlled like a tank with independent rear brakes and through the lights at 128 miles an hour in the 10-second zone.
Incredible. Here's the Alcohol Funny Car semi-final round. Coming up now, Ace Menzo against Peter Gallen. They're ready to sprint down the quarter mile. 500 plus cubic inch alcohol burning drag racing Hemi engines. An Oldsmobile versus a Ford as they sprint away from the starting line. And Menzo off on a beautiful pass, wins at the quarter mile. The elapsed time for Ace Menzo, 6:28 at 2:21. Gallen, the runner-up, 0.04 of a second slower at 6:32.
I'll tell you, that is one of Manzo's best ever runs, and he also from a small town in New Jersey is a hometown racer. But here's the man we've seen on ESPN this year dominate this category of alcohol burning funny car. From Texas in a phenomenal side-by-side smoky burnout with Arnie Karp is Dal Denton, the sudden pleasure racer. Earlier, Pat talked to Arnie Karp of the Boston Strangler.
We're with Arnie Karp, who's one of the leading top alcohol funny car drivers anywhere in America today. And Arnie, I know you're excited because getting a new sponsorship in this business and this time and day, you have got to have some money to make these things work, and Mountain Dew's come on to help you. That's got to be great for you.
That's true. Mountain Dew's helped us a lot this year. With the help of Billy Griffith from Pepsi Cola and Mountain Dew, we've bought some new equipment and really updated our technology, and it's really helped us out. We've done real well this year.
Arnie Karp in a Mountain Dew Oldsmobile back into stage against Dal Denton and the lighting and fans of Nashville Pontiac Trans Am. Denton, number 1 qualifier in the program at 6:24, had an easy pass in the first round as Carol Hinson broke. Arnie Karp has run down this quarter mile at 6.38 seconds. So Denton is going to really have to step up if he's going to beat the quickening Arnie Karp.
You know, it's interesting to note, John, that Dal Denton's wife is in attendance at this event this weekend for the first time this year. And Dal's already won 3 national events after his wife couldn't make it to the drag races for the first time. Let's hope that's not an indicator that his luck's going to change. Obviously, she is worried about his luck changing. Arnie Karp has a slight advantage, as you pointed out. Both machines utilizing alcohol burning, supercharged aluminum Chrysler Hemi engines, RPMs up to about 5,000, waiting for the green light. They leave the line, and Arnie Karp red lights. Unbelievable good break for Dal Denton. Karp takes it through on a foul. In fact, Arnie Karp runs 6:27 at 225 miles an hour, top speed of the meet, wasted on a red light.
We'll be back with Pro Stock from the Summer Nationals.
Introducing Ambervision.
We're back at the IHRA Summer Nationals, Atco Raceway, Atco, New Jersey. John Lundberg, Brett Kepner, and Pat Patterson as Ricky Smith prepares to do battle in the semifinal round of Pro Stock Eliminator.
Ricky will be battling the biggest upset maker of this race in pro stock. George Cable driving Emil Eckroth's machine, and as the motorcraft balloon above waves in the wind, Cable gets ready to battle probably the toughest man he's ever had to face, Ricky Smith, the defending world champ. Now remember, Cable beat Tim Neighbors in the first round, a guy who we saw runner-up this year at the Texas Nationals. The second round, he beat Charlie Garrett, who made it to the semifinals of the Pro-Am Nationals. This guy is strong.
Ricky Smith, 2 runs within 0.04 of a second of each other, 7:37 and 7:41. Cable, 7:52 and 7:53 is work cut out for him. Stages ready to race. The Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Thunderbird of the world champion. They're out of the gate. They move well. Cable goes well from the starting line. Ford and Chevrolet, but Bubba's working for Ricky Smith, and the Ford wins at the quarter mile. The elapsed time for Smith, 7:45 at 1:89. Cable, 7:57 at 1:83.29. Runner-up. Here's Pat Patterson with our Quaker State Quick Fact.
In the world of professional motorsports today, sponsorship is everything. On Ricky Smith's Thunderbird right here, Motorcraft is displayed as the major sponsor on the race car. However, there are some behind-the-scenes sponsors that also pay off at each event if you win or if you're the runner-up on those particular events. These are called contingency sponsors, and they're displayed along the bottom panel of the race car. Now, obviously, their in is to have their decal displayed. You run their parts and equipment, and if you finish first or if you're a runner-up, each one of these individuals post a specific amount of money that will be added to your purse for winning or being runner-up at a particular event. Obviously, we got to have money to go fast. Sponsorship from Motorcraft keeps Ricky Smith running fast, but the contingency sponsors down here keep all the drivers and the series moving on into the future.
Thanks, Pat. Here's the other Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird, Bob Glidden. Low elapsed time of the first round, low elapsed time of the second round, and #1 qualifier. Brett against the last GM car standing in the way of an all-Motorcraft final, Frank Iaconio.
This will be interesting because we saw Ricky Smith lose another 0.04 of a second somewhere. He's slowing down. The question is it just the air quality out there today, or is Ricky running into problems? Glidden and Iaconio will tell us. Frank in the Super Shops Trans Am needs a whole shot to get around the Motorcraft Thunderbird. Glidden waiting ever so patiently, finally moves in, RPM's up, they leave the starting line, the whole shot goes to Iaconio by 0.06 of a second. Iaconio out in front for Pontiac on the top end, Glidden drives around him. 7:36, Glidden actually improves 0.01 of a second, and that spells trouble for Ricky Smith. Obviously, Frank Iaconio isn't thrilled right now either, but it will once again be an all-Ford Motorcraft Thunderbird final round in Pro Stock Eliminator. The Glidden crew thrilled as always. Back on the starting line, they will head back to the pits with chassis builder Jerry Haas in the white shirt to check that car over one more time for the final round against the defending world champ.
Bob Glidden, 1 car length, 1/10 of a second. The victor in this round of Pro Stock Eliminator. Now we go to Alcohol Dragster semifinals, Brett.
John, on the starting line, Denny Lucas, the man who we saw runner-up at the recent Bristol Spring Nationals, takes on Bruce Horner. Now, Lucas's Colorado car in the far lane uses a Chrysler engine. Horner uses a Chevrolet power plant in the alcohol-burning dragster class. They leave the starting line in a good, even battle, but the Colorado racer starts to drive away early, and he goes to his second final round in a row at IHRA Racing. 6.36 seconds. John, he has consistently been the quickest and fastest car in this class.
Frustration on the starting line for this man. Look at this. He's trying to get his transmission in gear, and he can't do it. It's John Rose as the burnout by Fred Arberg indicates that the #8 qualifier is ready to go. As you mentioned in the previous round, if you will, an odd motor in this class, as Arberg uses a 455 cubic inch Pontiac. They're trying to get Rose's engine started. Apparently he killed it by trying to put the transmission in gear, and he's got some real problems. Meanwhile, Fred Arberg backs into stage his 455 alcohol-burning Pontiac-powered dragster as they continue ministrations and ultimate frustration. Rose is ready to drag race. The car is not. He bangs his helmet in frustration, and Fred Arberg is going to single into the final round of Top Alcohol Dragster.
A tough break for Rose. His car's been running incredibly strong. By the way, Rose is driving Dennis Forsell's old alcohol dragster, the car that Dennis graduated out of. Fred Arberg gets a single into his first final. And John, you are looking at the ultimate luck for Fred Arberg. Something way wrong with this car. Arberg's car could barely leave the starting line under its own power, running exceptionally rich, a lot of fuel out of the exhaust pipes. And Fred will make it into the final, but only by the skin of his teeth.
The others, the race is never over till the winner picker shines. And we're going to come back with more IHRA Championship drag racing as we go into alcohol and sportsman finals at the Summer Nationals after these messages. Raceway, Atco, New Jersey. John Lundberg along with Brett Kepner and Pat Patterson, and that's alcohol funny car finals. Coming up, Dal Denton, #1 qualifier in the program in the Nashville Lighting and Fans Sudden Pleasure Car. Here's Ace Menzo. First round, second round. Low elapsed time of the round. Really dialed into the course today. Denton has got his work cut out for him on this round. Wouldn't you know it, it's the final, Brett.
Well, I'll tell you, Dal Denton has already won 3 IHRA National Championship events this year. He is by far the winningest racer of this season. At the last race of the season, the Spring Nationals in Bristol, Tennessee, he stole the points lead from Arnie Karp and then beat Arnie Karp in the second round. So Dal is right now literally on top of the world. Heating the tires in the beautifully sculptured Pontiac. Frank Manzo does the same. And John, there's something else you have to remember now that we're into the final rounds for most of our categories. Backing up is one of 3 machines from the Keystone Automotive Warehouse, Hurst Shifters, Key Auto Parts, Motorcraft team of Joe Amato, Bruce Larson, and Frank Manzo. For the first time in drag racing history, 3 cars from the same racing team have all made the finals of a professional category at one event.
Interesting point, and of course, realistically, you could kind of figure that it might happen because all of these guys cut their teeth at Atco Raceway in the 1960s and literally have 20 years of racing experience right here in this racetrack.
That's an excellent point that really didn't even occur to me. Dal Denton, in fact, is racing for the first time ever at this track, and he's in the final. Frank Manzo ran a career best 6:25 in the first round. Dal Denton qualified at 6:24. This should be a race, John.
They're ready to move. Out of the chute they go. The Texan is hole-shotted by Manzo. Here comes the Thunderbird, and he wins. Wow, what a drag race. 6:28 to a quicker 6:26 by Denton, and Manzo wins the bracket for Keystone Automotive Warehouse.
0.07 of a second off the line did it. Pat Patterson is with a very excited Frank Manzo.
Good run for you. Good race between you and Denton.
Yes, very good race. I'm very happy the way the track here at Atco Dragway is well prepared, so give the racers a fair chance as far as which lane you would be in, the left lane or right lane. I think the lanes are been even all week.
What kind of shot do you think you had coming into this, Frank?
Not very good. We've been having a lot of problems with head gaskets, banging blowers on the car. We had a fuel system problem, and we had a lot of cross-firing because we're one of the very few cars that run a dual mag setup on alcohol funny car. We had some cross-firing, and we seemed to figure it all out last night on a test run. We made a half pass, and the car was making a good run, and I didn't feel comfortable, so I shut it off because it was so late. And we felt pretty comfortable this morning. We felt that if we could go fast enough the first run against Newbury, maybe we continue on to win the race.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Here's the final round in Top Alcohol Dragster. Brett, as Fred Arberg prepares to do his burnout.
You know, John, Arberg moves in against Denny Lucas, the Spring Nationals runner-up here for this race. And this class, especially at this event, has become a rather unlikely place for development by the manufacturers in engines. Whereas the nitro classes are dominated by the Chrysler Hemi engine. We had 4 Chrysler Hemis in this class, 1 Chevrolet, 1 Oldsmobile, Fred Arberg's Pontiac, and a Ford here in the dragster class.
The Winston World Champion, Denny Lucas, for 1987 against Fred Arberg. They're out of the gate. Arberg executes an almost 1/8 of a second lead, but here comes Lucas, and he wins Top Alcohol Dragster. Denny Lucas drives around Arberg with a 6:41.213 victory to Arberg's 6:65.204.08. And here is Pat Patterson with winner Denny Lucas.
You got to be pleased.
Oh, we're happy. We didn't hurt anything all weekend, and we learned a lot from this race. So,
Tell me about this last pass.
we still getting loose on the top end. I couldn't even get the clutch locked up on that pass. It was out of control, you know, just getting out of the groove. We got clear off the concrete pad, and we just had to try driving the best we could. So,
Congratulations.
thank you very much.
From professional to sportsman drag racing, here are the finals starting with a 1290 class Brett and a Corvette against a 302 Comet.
You couldn't ask for a stranger battle. Now, Mark Brule, the Ontario, Canada driver of the 65 Comet, is racing a $30,000 Corvette of New York racer Joe De Niro. The objective here to run 12.90 seconds and beat the other guy. The Canadian in the Mercury goes dead on, as they say in the sport. 12.905 seconds for his first national event win.
In the 1190 class, we have this car, the 66 small block Chevy 2 of Ben Saya, Delran, New Jersey, against the AMC Hornet of John Boyer.
Boyer's Mongrel has won a phenomenal amount of money here at Atco, but off the line draws a red light. He won the Spring Nationals here in his second final round ever. He loses out. The Chevy 2 racer Ben Saya takes his first national event win, 0.02 of a second over the index.
Well, here's the 1090 class final in a pair of 67 Camaros, one from New Jersey, one from Virginia. We're looking at Ricky Hall, ready to sprint down the quarter mile with Tony Gambardella. And as they sprint away from the starting line, Hall executes a 27,000 lead. Now, as they reach the end of the quarter mile, the winner is Ricky Hall. And Hall, 10.77.2 against Gambardella's quicker 10.73. The whole shot did it.
Here's a classic, John. 990 final, Ford versus Chevrolet. The Ford Pinto with a 460 Ford wedge motor of Pat O'Brien from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, leaves the line with Glenn Norton, a two-time IHRA national event winner in his 81 Camaro. Norton gets a 0.03 of a second hole shot. The Ford makes the move, and the Ford gets there first, but it goes 9.892 seconds on a 990 index. 0.08 of a second too quick.
890 final. Joe Ravello, Old Forge, Pennsylvania in the dragster. A crowd favorite. Wheel standing oval. Gets him up again. He's out of the gate as he sprints down the quarter mile. A foul by the dragster makes the booth win Pennsylvania Opal of Dennis Bartucci a winner. At the quarter mile, Bartucci's time 8:88 at 1:48.27. Now in the 790 class, it's going to be John Crawford, Crawfish, against Jim Barker's gorgeous dragster, Brett.
Crawfish, the runner-up at Bristol at the Spring Nationals. Barker in the far lane in probably the most incredibly engineered dragster we have seen in years. An amazing piece of equipment. 170-mile-an-hour battle puts Crawfish in the winner's circle. Finally, the Florida racer, after a runner-up at Bristol, makes it back.
Here's factory modified, and look at this. Two cars from ICS Racer State against one another. Bob Benza against Dave Northrup. They're ready to sprint away with small block Pontiacs, and they sprint up the starting line. Whole shot to Benza as he sprints down the quarter mile at speed. Winner is Benza. The elapsed time for the victory is 8:80 at 153.58. 6 races, 6 winners, and factory modified, Brett.
An incredible class, but here's another wild one. Top Sportsman. You're looking at Ronnie Hood and Alfred Walker's 81 Camaro against defending champion Terry Sinke. Hood in the Camaro, a 1,200 horsepower Pro Stocker, basically wheels up and all over the track. He has to shut down from tire shake. Terry Sinke's rear-engine dragster from Baltimore wins its second Summer Nationals title in a row. John, when was the last time you saw a Sportsman car shut off because of tire shake?
Incredible. More coming up. Funny Car and Pro Stock Finals following these messages. Raceway, Atco, New Jersey. We're back at the IHRA Summer Nationals. John Lundberg, Pat Patterson, and Brett Kepner. Now the Funny Car Eliminator Final. And as the engine starts on the Miller High Life Racing Oldsmobile, Brett, McCullough has set low elapsed time in the first 2 rounds of competition here, but a guy on a roll is ready to race him in Bruce Larson.
As McCulloch moves up at the Miller High Life Olds Cutlass Supreme to heat the tires, another phenomenal burnout coming up. You can bet on that. Absolutely incredible the amount of power that Bernie Federley, the crew chief for the Miller High Life Funny Car, has put into that machine for this final round. McCulloch is the winningest funny car racer of the year, and here he is in yet another final round. But like you said, John, this guy, Dauphin, Pennsylvania racer Bruce Larson, is hungry. Last weekend, as you said, on the Winston Series, his first national event win in 25 years of trying. He has a chance to make it 2 in a row, and that burnout tells you he's got power. Earlier, Pat Patterson talked with Bruce Larson.
So what do you got to do to beat Ed?
I don't know. We did it last week. I guess we'll just kind of think about what we did last week and try to repeat it.
The Century Tax engages. Oldsmobile Forenza backs in. Interesting about Larson, he switched to the Olds body, has helped him win a drag race. I don't know whether it's mental or physical. The point is, he ran a Chevrolet body for 24 years. He went to an Oldsmobile body, and Bruce Larson is winning races. McCulloch knows it, and he is tuned up for this one.
McCulloch definitely knows it because at that Winston race a week ago, Ed McCulloch felt the sting of Bruce Larson in one of the early rounds. Larson actually got past the ace. If he can do it 2 times in a row, a lot of people are going to be looking at Bruce Larson with a whole bunch of new respect. Don Militix, the Century crew chief for Bruce Larson's new Oldsmobile, lines the car up directly in the hot rubber put down on the burnout. That's the key, hot rubber against hot rubber. Meanwhile, McCulloch's crewman looks on with anticipation for the funny car final round here at the Summer Nationals.
They're staged and ready to move. Larson trying for 2 wins, 2 weekends in a row. Can he bring it off at his home track, Atco, New Jersey? McCulloch waiting to stage, now is ready. Watch the green, out of the chute they go. It's Larson by 24 thousandths of a second. McCulloch is trying. Bruce Larson wins 2 in a row at 5:55, 264.70. McCulloch 300 slower at 5:58, 261.62. Joy on the starting line. Here's Pat with Bruce Larson.
Tell me about the pass.
I knew, as soon as I left, I knew it was a good one. The car left harder than it left all day, and it just kept right on pulling. We were a little worried about the wind, and it didn't affect us at all. I guess we just went faster than the wind.
You guys really thrashed hard all weekend to get this one.
Well, we changed 2 motors today. Some stupid little things happened, but you gave us enough time, and it's a nice track, and everything worked out fine. My crew just did fantastic. Those guys are something. We won last week, first national event in our career. This is the second one, so we're kind of on a roll.
Congratulations.
And I can't say enough about Century Tax and Gauges and, all the other sponsors that we have. They've really been great to us. That's why we're here.
This sets the pace for the rest of the year. You can probably get some more.
Yeah, here's Ace. Say hello, Ace. Thanks a lot.
You're going to have to quit picking on us, I told you after that first one, they come easy from then on, but let's back off. Give us a break. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, Bruce.
Thanks.
Here's the Pro Stock Eliminator final as we watch Ricky Smith do his burnout. And he faces Bob Glidden in an all-motorcraft final. Glidden, 3 low ETs in 3 rounds. Here's Pat with Glidden.
The track has really been consistent for us all day. We've made, as a matter of fact, we've run more consistent here at this race than we've run all year. So maybe we're slowly but surely getting our act back together.
Ricky Smith's 5th final round of the year, the defending world champ against Bob Glidden in the race that has become the prototypical IHRA rivalry. Inching forward into the stage beams for the Pro Stock Championship. They leave the starting line. Glidden with a slight hole shot. Ricky Smith now tries to move in, and on the top end, Glidden wins again. 737 to a 746. 187 to 188. Look at Rusty Glidden, Bob Glidden's son, all the way down the track. This is the cheering section that has made this man the winningest drag racer in the sports history.
Congratulations, you're the winner.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you, it's been a great race for us. We qualified well yesterday, ran 2 consistent 731 runs, and Motorcraft and Ford again came through, and both cars in the final, Ricky and us, and finally for the second time only this year, the coins turned up on the other side, and Ricky lost and we won.
Seems like, Bob, you've just been real consistent. That seemed like the outline of this race for you.
For the weekend, yes, but this has been the first weekend for sure all season that we have been consistent.
ESPN and Speed World will bring you the Top Fuel Eliminator final following these messages from our sponsors. Back at the IHRA Summer Nationals at Atco, New Jersey for the final round of Top Fuel Eliminator. And sure enough, as we look at Joe Amato, his goal, though he's 13 miles per hour faster than Gene Snow, Snow is 11/100ths of a second quicker. And Snow knows it. He set the low elapsed time in the first 2 rounds of Top Fuel Eliminator today. And Joe Amato has his work cut out for him as they prepare to start the engine on the Snowman's racer, Brett.
11/100ths of a second is a lot of time in drag racing, as you well know, John, and Amato is really at a deficit here. Here he is at a track that 1 year ago, as we said, he was the first racer in IHRA history to break 270 miles an hour. Now he is well behind the defending world champ doing that whole amazing burnout over the other side. A lot of power, even though Snow's machine does not use a transmission. Direct drive right off the crankshaft speed. Amato's ready, and remember, Amato has watched his other 2 teammates on the TRW Keystone Automotive Key Auto Parts Hurst Shifters team win their Eliminator titles. Can he make it history and make it 3?
All of a sudden, it isn't business. It's almost spiritual between these two guys. Amato, when he puts that car in high gear, nobody closes on the finish line faster at a greater top speed than Joe Amato. Interestingly enough, if you take a look at their tech cards, Snow's engine a 500 cubic inch JP1. Now, Amato says his engine is a Tim Richards, and I think that really typifies the individual nature with which the engine builder for these race vehicles constructs the engine to his own unique specifications.
It's true, Amato's engine is just another aluminum die-cast Chrysler Hemi replica, but he calls it a Richards after the man who puts it together, not who actually manufactures it. Snow's crew chief, Chris Eckert, standing patiently. You can see him in the shadow there as Gene Snow drives up to the starting line ever so easily. Now Chris Eckert leaning over to turn on the onboard computer that will record all the engine functions in this final round. This is going to be a great way to end this event, John.
No doubt about it. At the bottom of your screen, the nose of the Hearst Keystone TRW Special as the oil man from Texas, Gene Snow, tries to lengthen his world championship points lead for 88th. They're out of the gate. Snow by 10,000ths out of the chute. Amato trying to catch him. Snow wins the elapsed time for the victor, Gene Snow. Wow, another killer. 5:15 at 2:74. Amato chasing him at 5:21, 2:77. What a drag race.
Yeah, the old snowman puts it on him again with a 5:15, 2:74.39 to a 5:21, 2:77.77. Congratulations, Gene.
Thanks very much. I don't know what to say. It's been a hell of a weekend.
You guys worked awfully hard to get this one.
Yeah, this crew's been excellent. The car's been excellent. The track is excellent. Perfect conditions. Like to do it every time.
Your thoughts going into this one, Gene? Do you feel confident on it?
Oh, you can't believe we got a new idea here that really works great.
There's no question that idea works. Joe Amato's bid for a world championship is getting tougher.
What was that Snow about runner-up points?
Yeah, runner-up points indeed. Joe Amato chasing Gene Snow. Now at the midway point in this 1988 season, the friendly handshake, but still a very, very serious rivalry in top fuel dragster racing.
For Brett Kepner and Pat Patterson, this is John Lundberg saying goodbye from the IHRA Summer Nationals. This IHRA Championship drag race was brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. By Motorcraft. Quality parts for quality cars. And by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality, always has, and always will.